Why did this wreck interest you, this wreck in Lyme Bay?
Well, I'm working on a book on World War I U-boat losses. In it, I'm reassessing all 178 of them based on the latest information, and also trying to bring in our dive knowledge. And this case involves UC-49. It's a mine-laying U-boat that was supposed depth charged and sunk on August 8th, 1918. It's very important sinking because it's the first case of a U-boat that had been hunted to destruction over a prolonged period of time by the Royal Navy. Unfortunately, when I did additional research, the story doesn't quite make sense. And it was much more likely that UC-49 actually survived the encounter with British patrol vessels. But we still have this wreck. So that's why I approached Steve to arrange a dive to try to figure out what that could possibly be.
So, remind me the sort of things that you felt we should be looking for to identify what wreck this was?
With submarine wrecks, there's some things you always want to try to establish. First of all, the torpedo tube arrangement. How many torpedo tubes are there at the bow? How many are there at the stern? Since UC-49 was a mine layer, and many of the remaining missing Flanders-based boats are mine layers, was this a mine-laying submarine? Did it have mine chutes forward? Is there a deck gun? If so, how big? Where is it located? Are there any ammunition shells and ready-use containers around the gun? And then hatches, are they open? And also going to the stern, what is the propeller configuration and the rudder configuration?
So our main findings then rather indicated that it wasn't what you thought it was?
Well, that became clear very early on. One of the first questions I asked, okay, what is the rudder configuration and the propeller and stern torpedo tube configuration? And that was, had a stern tube, had two propellers, but one rudder. That's hugely significant.
Right.
Because the UC-2 mine layers had stern tube, two propellers, but also they had twin rudders, two rudders.
Okay.
So it's not a UC-2 mine layer. It's also not the torpedo attack version of that design called UB-3. And it's also not a German World War II Type 7, which also has twin rudders. So basically this eliminates most possible German submarine types.
So what got you looking at Royal Navy types?
Well, the first thing I was thinking there could be a couple German obscure boats that kind of lost under tow or something like that post-war. But once I saw a picture of the actual propeller shafts, well, those weren't German either.
Right.
So then we're looking at something British. So I was thinking something along the D class, E class, G class of World War I submarines, something in there that would have been sunk, under tow, sunk as a target, something like that, but that had not really been captured in the hydrographic database, wreck knowledge. Somehow no one was aware it was down there.
Talking about the D class and D1, why was it particularly important?
Well, this is the first, if you will, kind of modern submarine. The submarine was first introduced in Royal Navy service. These are very primitive, very short range, very limited vessels. And the D class, D1, is the first more powerful submarine, first one with diesel engines, the first one with a stern tube, first one that has the operational capacity to operate across the North Sea into the German bite against Hugland bite against, the High Seas Fleet, against the German Navy. It's a hugely significant boat. It was the prototype of the very successful British submarine classes of World War I and beyond.
So sort of the first step from defence to offence.
Yes, definitely.
How do we think she ended up where she ended up in Lyme Bay?
The British built a lot of submarines during World War I. And what happened was D1 was an older boat, and by 1918 it was pretty much worn out. And the British had a lot of other more capable submarines at that point. So they decided to use D1 as a training target for anti-submarine warfare forces, specifically airships, strangely enough. So they took her out in October 1918 and essentially dumped her, sunk her as a target off Dartmouth. And then promptly, everyone seemed to have forgotten it was sunk there. And aside from, one website which did have the information as to about where it was sunk, and when I was reviewing possible subwrecks this could be, it came up, oh yeah, D1 was stowed right off Dartmouth. Where's this wreck?
Yep.
Right off Dartmouth. Do the features of the wreck match what we know about D1?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, yes. So, well, it's D1.